I'd like to introduce to you Radhika Bharat Ram. Radhika's fame precedes her because of her family name, but Radhika has always chosen to follow her heart and tread her own path. She has managed to carve an identity for herself doing the work she is most passionate about. Radhika is the joint vice chairperson of the Sri Ram schools. She is the joint secretary of the Blind Relief Association and is on the board of many organizations. She also has a lot of volunteering experience. I am keen to talk to Radhika about her founding the Karm Fellowship, which is where I saw her deep commitment for the cause. And Radhika is in pursuit of
enabling young women to make choices for themselves, whether there's professional or personal choices.
So, Radhika, I'm keen to know what's the heart behind it.
Heart behind it. So everything I do, the heart has to be involved.
Yes.
I think it's a lot to do with the way I was brought up in a environment which was fearless. Of course, we were given the opportunity to make choices, voice them, live life at their own terms. But I think when you become older and you see the world around you, it looks very different from how you've been brought up.
It's true.
So whether it was working at the Blind Relief Association, where I didn't see many visually impaired women, or it was working at the craft sector with women out there, where typically men would take decisions, the money would go to their bank account. So I think, and then of course, there's been so much talk about where are the women, why are they not taking decisions? And I think it came from a space of saying, what am I going to do differently to change that narrative? Especially when you come from a space of privilege, I strongly believe that you need to step in. You need to step in and just not be a person who is talking about it, but actually doing and changing that. So for me, it was very important that actually for my husband and me both, that we stepped in and we sort of decided to work with young girls. And education is something that we feel very, very strongly about. And we understand the power of education, what it can do. So, yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So, what was that trigger which made you start this?
I think I'm a social worker. So I started working at Craft Council 15 years ago. I love working with people. I love working with them because what I learned actually at Telecraft Council was that instead of giving solution to people, you need to co-create it with them, for them, right? So I think 15 years ago, when I was 35, very young, I didn't realize what the real India looked like, shamefully.
No,
And
many
I
people
think that
don't.
started changing. And slowly, with working with visually impaired, again, our idea at working with visually impaired is to make sure that they become self-sufficient.
Correct.
So the mind was changing, the thought process was changing. And when we thought of Karm, we said, what are we going to do differently
Right.
that was going to make young girls employable, confident, and the ability to stand up against patriarchy, right?
Right.
We're not a like a feminist organization, but we do believe that girls need to be held, they need to be supported, and I think Karm hopefully is a space for my girls where they feel secure, they feel loved, and they feel fearless to articulate their desires and then confidently move forward towards them.
Obviously, your experiences from all your volunteering work,
Yeah.
your work at the Crafts Council, and your work with the Blind Relief Association, all of that has been a
The
very
building block.
Yes, absolutely. There have
Yeah.
been the reasons why you possibly came
Yeah.
to this now.
Yeah.
But I'm still curious to know, what was that moment when you said, let's do this?
Oh, a lot of research. So I remember in 2018, I went to my husband Karthik and I said, I think we need to do something, and I want to work with women. And of course, Karthik being Karthik, he said, let's work on it, whatever it is. Why don't you speak to people? And so I started speaking to many people. I spoke to Meenakshi Gopinath, and I loved what she told me, and it's going to stay with me forever. She said, if you want to solve or want to work in the social sector, you need to speak to people that you're going to work for. So travel, get a feel of India, get a feel of what is your real calling. And of course, that's what I did for 2 years. Spoke to many women. Yes, yes.
You traveled across India?
I traveled to Mewat. I went to this beautiful school in Pune where they work with these girls who come from very underprivileged home but get education that you and I have been privileged of.
Wow.
And I think conversation with young girls and what they can achieve actually started sort of making me realize what I really want to do. Of course, I went everywhere. I went from, okay, we're going to work with craft women. We're going to do maybe for, grassroots women and entrepreneurship, leadership program. And then, of course, education is something that I love. So it had to be with education.
Right.
And when I spoke to girls, I went to Mewat where our foundation works there. And when we spoke to girls out there or spoke to the mothers out there, money is available for education for boys.
Also for girls now?
No.
No?
No, okay. Not for higher education. So we wanted to step in somewhere where there was a gap, right? And of course, there are a lot of scholarships available, but is scholarship good enough? And yes, so we tried to understand, and we're addressing a gap that exists in the education system at the moment.
Right.
And we're plugging in with 44 girls that we're hand-holding at the moment.
Wonderful. So it's not just about upskilling with IT skills or with other skills, that is finance, etc. But it's actually attitude, behavior skills, which is really going to hold them in good stead for a really long time. So what's your program look like when you do that? Because there are a few other programs also which actually do exactly the same, but they work in very different manners, and how it pans out, for a beneficiary.
So, of course, when we started off in 2020, we had a ready curriculum and we said, we know it, we've cracked it, and we know what needs to be, life skills, mentoring, everything. But when the girls came on board, we said, no, this is not going to work. So what is going to work? What is going to work is creating boundaries for them, creating life skills is a great word, but it needs to be career skills. At the end of the day, they need to earn money that will bring food to their table, right?
Absolutely.
While your degree opens up the door, attitude, how you sort of are able to take feedback. No curriculum, nowhere it's being taught, right? I've been extremely fortunate to have many mentors in my life. So, and then again, what are you going to do with your privilege? So I said, yes, I'm going to call up people and get them on board as mentors. And we've been so lucky to have such amazing mentors who have stepped in, who are hand-holding my girls. It is a huge commitment. It's a commitment of 3 years. It's 12 conversations in a year. And as their relationship is blossoming, it's becoming even more, right? Because you have a relationship going and you want to extend yourself for these girls because they're just so endearing. So we created a mentoring curriculum. We thought that youngsters need scaffolding. They need a guided conversation. And we wanted all our Karm fellows to experience mentoring the same way. Of course, every mentor brings a different flavor, but the conversations need to be same. So, of course, the girls keep giving us the cues, right? We created a curriculum, but now we've thrown it out the window and we address the issues that they're dealing with. Social exclusion at university is a real thing.
Because they are there because of their hard work, but they are being excluded. That must be really hard.
So every conversation with the mentor is guided. So the mentor gets an exercise and the mentee gets a reflection exercise. And they have a conversation, and then the mentors have to fill a form and they have to get back to us. So there's a lot of work our mentors do, and I'm just so amazed that they are so willing, so giving of themselves. There should be never a self-entitlement in any of the Karm girls. So they have to give of themselves to the Blind Relief Association
amazing.
50
And
hours. Because
wow.
privilege comes to
It's
everybody,
very
right?
easy to feel entitled.
Yes. And when you work with the visually impaired,
It just
it
throws
just
everything,
changes
how you
look at life or look at the
your own
privileges.
issues that you have.
Yeah. And yes, so that's our curriculum.
Interesting. But tell me, the number of girls you have taken on till now, how many of them are really able to absorb all this wonderful mentoring, and how many are struggling with it? Because I'm sure there's a tussle even for them, because this is so new for them.
Yeah. So initially, of course, it takes time to get comfortable, because this is a stranger I'm talking to. I have no idea who you are.
Yes.
Some took time, but now when you look back at the relationship, so what we also do is once a year we have a get together with all the mentors where they share their experiences. And it's quite amazing because each mentor is rooting for their mentee. My mentee is the best, right? So you have to give relationship time. They're children, and I think as adults, you need to make the first move. You need to thaw the relationship. And, once they feel secure and they know that you're there to hold their hand through this very important phase of their life, they open up.
What does the journey for, say, for a beneficiary look like? Starting from the time she actually, how do you select them? How do they come on board? What happens then? And it's a 3-year journey. Which means that 2 of your batches are already in process right now.
And the third one will be joining us in August.
And that's a big commitment. How do they fare in that commitment over 3 years? Which is also there must be times when they waver, all of that, right?
So at Karm, we practice tough love.
Yes.
Okay, we love them, but there are boundaries. So the process is that there is a form that goes online. You fill the form. I've read each and every form that's come into Karm.
And how many do you get?
First year was 500, 600, and our third batch was another 650. And our reach is increasing now from, just from Delhi and UP. Now we've reached Uttarakhand. We got some from Chennai. So, word of mouth, people are getting to know. So then there's an interview process. And then the girls come on board, and we have a 3-day orientation program where we have to lay down expectations, right? And the thing is, it's not a scholarship. It is a fellowship. So it runs parallel to your college degree. And there are evening online classes. So the journey starts off with just sort of, for our girls to first unlearn. Because the education system is typically about just rote learning.
True.
The ability to unlearn. The ability to embrace where they come from. Their stories are so powerful. And if only they can embrace where they come from and not shy away from them, I think magic can happen. So we work a lot on just the mindset. They come from different and difficult backgrounds. So just building on that confidence that you can do it, you're capable of it. So also taking them through very uncomfortable learning journey as well, which is public speaking, which we hate, all of us hate, right? But we do understand that you have to be able to articulate and communicate well if you want to be able to get that another scholarship. Second year being just opening up of the mind. What does the world of work look like? Field visits to a manufacturing unit, and experiencing different careers. And that in each career, there are different verticals. At Havells, you can have an account person. Okay, you have an HR person. So I can have a career in manufacturing too. And I can play my role there. So that was sort of a, opening of the mind. A lot of career talks, shadowing of women leaders. So that's something that worked out really well. So the girls were shadowing women for almost, I think, 2 weeks. And we collaborated with an agency to do that, an organization. And we we keep working on communication skills. We've realized that that is so important.
Absolutely.
Just how you sort of speak, your body language.
Yes.
Something that I didn't mention was that what we also do is that we work a lot on just being aware of what's happening around the world. So we have something called the thinking and articulation classes, where we do debating, we do what are the current issues that are happening around the world. You have to have an opinion, you have to read the papers, you have to read books, so there's a lot of work that happens around that area. And now our girls will be going for 6 to 8 week internship that we have curated for them. And yeah, they're going to work. And they're going to get a taste of what it really feels like to work in the career that they're hoping to take up.
Wow.
And if they want to change their mind, it's absolutely fine.
That's amazing. That's so wonderful.
So we've reached the second year, end of second year. And third year is going to be about just opening up doors for further fellowships. Some of them want to study further. Some are in need of just getting a job, because that is the reality.
That's reality. So Radhika, how I have seen you at, the workshop, and how involved you are with the girls and how connected you are to them. You can hire people, but you choose to do this yourself. And which is what I find quite amazing. And I want to know more.
Oh, it just fills me. This work just excites me. It's my baby. I have to be involved, and there's no way with two ways about it. But as the work is growing, we're hiring more people, committed, wonderful people who know more than me. And my job is to give direction, to make sure that we stay on track with the vision that we have for our girls. There are a few things that are totally my accountability, and which is, of course, going through the interviews and reading all the forms, the mentors coming on board, what is tracking the whole curriculum. I read all the feedback forms that are filled by the mentors, or with our fellows also keep giving us, we keep asking for feedback. So that I get a pulse of what is really happening and not lose the thread. It's a community that we're creating. And I often tell everybody when I'm talking about Karm that Karm is a movement. It's about getting people together. It's for people to recognize that they are privileged. And how do you best support people who are, who don't come from a space of privilege? It's so easy to cut a check, but it's so difficult to give your time. So I want to see that change in India. I want to see people giving more time, because I think that is transformational, not just for the person that you're supporting, but for you personally as a human being. It works. As a kid, my parents always took us to Mother Teresa home or Cheshire home. So when you asked me why, what, I think there was so much of exposure to it. I didn't understand what we were doing at that time, but I think later on in my life, now when I look back, just the concept of just feeding, just going and spending time, just packing boxes of clothes to give, I think a lot of training was happening for today.
What happens to a beneficiary?
So I can state two examples of our fellows. One of them whose mother used to constantly nag her, do the home chores and things like that. But when we did the presentation day where we, each girl had to present the year gone by, and we recorded that and then we sent it to their parents. And I think the parents couldn't believe it, that my daughter could speak so fluently, that, she's getting this opportunity. And now she is become a Karm supporter. And since when we do our conversation with the batch, the parents of the second batch, she's there to tell them they need to study, they need to become financially independent. The power of what Karm is doing is phenomenal. Please don't make them cook and things like that. Jab Karm ka kaam hai, to Karm ka kaam karna hai. So, there's a shift. And there's another girl who was being asked to get married, and she stood tall and said that this decision is hers. And she turned it down and she said that I want to study and I want to become financially independent. And that doesn't come easy. It sounds like, for you and me, it sounds like, oh, I would have done it. But it's not that easy to stand up and to be able to stand up to your parents and say that, this is my call. Yes. And this is my life and this is the way I want to lead it. Yes. So yes, shift is happening where even they are supporting their siblings in studying. Sometimes in the Karm class, they're also sitting and listening, and change happens like that.
So, Radhika, what are your personal challenges when since you've been running this fellowship, this trust? I'm sure you've come across different things which have been difficult, and how have you stayed afloat?
Like I said before, the challenges are not so big, but there are challenges. Sometimes you wonder what you're doing is going to work because it is new. I think when you talk about challenges, there is a personal challenge, right? Because I'm so involved in the work that I do that sometimes I live in two worlds, right? There's a world of privilege and there's a world that I see is so different. And just to be able to sort of navigate that on a personal level is tough. And I don't think many of us really talk about that. But then I think it's so important sometimes to just step back, take a deep breath, and say to yourself, you can't solve for everything. Yes. Right? And I think that was the biggest challenge for me. And I think now I'm able to sort of, navigate what as Karm we can definitely do and what we will not going to do. Right. And yeah.
So, and I guess that's where the tough love also comes in play.
Very much.
Isn't it?
Very much.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the beauty of being involved.
Yeah, my cook's daughter is a TFI fellow. And I just feel so good. And I feel like, wow, she's going to change her whole family. Yes. It's just the financial independence, the ability, and kudos to my cook for being such an encouraging father, right? I'm so super proud of him also. But for this girl to do what she's doing, she's going to just change the narrative at her home for every girl in our family. So I wish we can see that at home as well, because we have staff who lives at home, right? They're not, it's so close.
Thank you so much, Radhika. It was such a pleasure to have you here, and
Thank you.
Great conversation. Thanks. The latest World Bank report estimates that 5.6 crore people have been pushed into poverty during the COVID-19 pandemic. Other reports have other estimates, but whatever the real numbers are, we all know that help is needed. We all know that we need to do something to be able to help those around us, the underprivileged around us, be better educated and have jobs where they feel respected. Now, I leave you to think about this, to ponder over this, and to really think about what you should be in pursuit of. And maybe you can embrace the tips given to you by Radhika to do so. Till then, namaste and goodbye. See you soon.